Well, hello and welcome to yet another Kipper Tales. So far in the videos that we've shared so far, we've been looking at how we launched Kipper and actually starting to get to grips with sailing Kipper and getting to know her. But now that we're actually into the depths of winter here and it's blowing old boots outside and the glass has actually dropped that low, it's in danger of being sucked up by the vacuum cleaner. Now's a good time to actually take a step back a little bit and reflect on some of the improvements we've done with Kipper since we launched it. In particular, I want to focus on some of the sort of home improvements, if you like, that we've done. Now, top of my list was power. I wanted power. Well, we all want a bit of power, but perhaps that's a dangerous thing. But in this instance, I'm talking about shore power. I didn't want to be messing around with extension cables and so on and so forth. What I really wanted was a dedicated shore power system on board with multiple sockets that we could actually tap into whilst we're on the berth. So that meant installing a MCB, etc., and getting to know how to do that. Now, obviously, it would normally be perhaps a case of throwing some money at somebody and say, here, sort it out. Unfortunately, I didn't have that ability. It was going to be a case of a DIY job. Now, anybody who knows me will tell you, me and electrics are probably not a very good combination, and there's a lot of good compelling reasons why that's the case. And I have to say, I'd agree with them, but in this case, necessity. So in this video, what I'd like to do is share how I went about putting the power system together and some of the other improvements that we've done along the way. Hope you enjoy. Well, the start for me was going to be a case of doing some research and finding out what I actually need, the kit-wise, how it should be sort of configured and so on and so forth. And again, as I say, the problem is not having a clue what you're doing. It's very difficult. So like anybody else, I started searching around on the internet and came up with various ideas. Top of the list, really, that people were saying was obviously running to an MCB. Or main circuit breaker, much as you have in the house. So that's all well and good, but you've got to know how to wire those damn things in as well. So again, it was a case of researching and finding out how that was done. Some information was quite good, others not so good. One thing I did find quite useful was some of the videos on YouTube and things about people putting them in campers. Well, next on the list really was to get all the gummings together, including MCB and the various power sockets. And mount them onto a board, as you see here. The idea really then was to go and further mount this on board somewhere and then wire up the electrics from there. So this is how it all went. So here we are aboard Kipper again. Kettle's on, that's the important thing. We've just arrived here. Today's mission is to look at getting some power on board, the shore power. So as you've seen with the pics, I've been spending a couple of days trying to get the main circuit breaker, etc. sorted out, but it's not easy when you don't know what you're doing. But so here we are. We're in the starboard side quarter berth, and it's also where the batteries are housed. So we're just having a look inside to see where we can put this MCB. So just looking inside the locker then, this is the board as made up so far, and that doesn't seem to sit in there too badly. So I'm going to have a look, see if we can work it any better. But that's not looking too bad really. Okay, so just by way of update, I've abandoned the idea of putting it down there because I'm not really sure it's going to be dry enough down there, just in case. I'm sure it'll be fine, but I'm not going to take the chance. So what I've done is I've mounted it inside the quarter berth here, which probably isn't going to get used very much anyway, but I mean, it's alongside most of the other electronics now, so it's all pretty much in one area. The only concerns I have really are the vent there. Not really sure what's going to happen with that. I might need to rethink that one a little bit. I don't know. But I've got the incoming power mounted here at the moment, but as you can see it's all pretty temporary there, so I can move that somewhere else if I need to. So it's taking shape, so let's continue. Okay, so the first socket is in now. Routing wise, we come down from the MCB behind the panel here. It comes up inside the locker here, behind the bulkhead, tucked up there, and up to the double socket there. So far so good. Now we're going to have a look at the one to the chart table. Okay, so we're now into the chart table socket, and which means taking the back off everything. As you can see, the whole place is apart at the moment, and we've got another cable running through there then, which will be more into the cabin area. So taking shape, but so much easier if I knew what I was doing. There we go, that's the chart table power point in, so that's good. Okay, so here we go then, the moment of truth. I wasn't happy with the position of the in for the power, so I moved it. So let's hook it up and see how we get on. Test that. That seems to work. Put it on again. Well, there's only one thing to do then. Plug something in and try it. Okay, so I've got the charger unit for the drill plugged in there, and it's into the socket at the galley. So if this is working, we should get a red light on there. So fingers crossed. Now we have a red light. Woohoo! Success. Well, that one works. Let's try it in the other one then. Also working. Yeah, get off. Drop. Let's try it in some of the other sockets. As Wilson observed, unfortunately, it wasn't all plain sailing. Pardon the pun. And I've just tried the one under the seat. It doesn't seem to be working, nor does the one on the chart table. So we better work the problem back and find it. Okay, I've been through the plug here again, and I found a wire come off the earth, which is interesting. I guess I must have dislodged it while I was putting all this back together. So I've put that back on, put the thing back together again. Let's see if it works. Hey, look at that. Success. So there you go. We now have power on board. Awesome. Anyway, that's us done for one night. Everything working, so quite pleased about that. So I'll see whether that makes life any easier. Tonight's menu is chips on one of these, so I think I've earned it. Well, when it came to fitting the cooker, I'm well out of my league. And quite definitely we're in a specialist area here. So whilst I could actually fit the cooker, relatively speaking, obviously the gas work, etc., had to be done by somebody else, a professional. So luckily I knew a man who was. So he sorted it for me. So thumbs up for that one. And I'm pleased to report we now have a working cooker. Some of the other creature comforts we installed were things like a fridge, which is 12 and 240 volt. Actually very, very useful. Unfortunately, this one isn't really quite big enough, but it's big enough for the milk, for the coffee, and the odd beer or two. Luckily, we also added some other creature comforts. For example, cockpit cushions. Now, these were put together from absolute scratch by Mrs. B herself, and she did a fantastic job turning the cockpit into actually a very pleasurable place to sit around and enjoy a glass of wine or simply enjoy the sunset. Well, the cockpit cushions were very soon followed by cushions for down below deck, and I have to say, very nicely themed as well, with matching curtains. Well, these additions have really made life on board very nice and comfortable. But one of the other additions that's been a real winner in my book has been the addition of a spray hood. Took an absolute age to get it put together and fitted, etc. But to be honest with you, it was worth it in the end. Not something I wanted to take on board myself, and it cost me best part of £1,000. But to be honest with you, it was a job very well done indeed, and it's a great place to hide out of the wind. And there you go, folks. Well, that's it for this time around. I hope you've actually found some of the information here quite useful, and it just goes to prove that if you actually put your mind to it, you can actually achieve quite a lot. Kipper's coming along great, and all we need now is the time and the weather to get out and enjoy it. Happy sailing!